I think that the most important challenge facing the American evangelical church today is to retake the ground that has been lost by the mainstream denominations in American culture since the 1950s. Over the last several decades, the old mainline denominations like the Episcopalians, the United Methodists, the Congregationalists, the Catholics, and so on, have been going into steep decline. They are losing members every year. Their seminaries are closing or coalescing to try to stay open. These mainline denominations, who have largely abandoned the preaching of the gospel, are in free fall. And hence you have the rise of the so-called nuns, those who respond "none" when their religious affiliation is asked for on a survey. These formerly nominal Christians have, I think, come rightly to see that there's just no reason to give lip service to some sort of a religion that you don't really believe in. And there's no reason to participate in that kind of a religion. And so the mainline denominations are in this catastrophic decline in our culture. The result of this is that the influence of Christianity upon our culture has just waned in the kind of crudeness, violence, promiscuity, sexual explicitness, profanity, incivility that characterizes contemporary American culture. And I think that it is vitally important for the church to try to regain the ground that has been lost by the mainline denominations. They're not going to come back. But I think it is possible for evangelical Christians, through aggressive evangelism and effective apologetics and engagement with the public square, to commend biblical faith to people in such a way that could lead to revival and to a turning to God on the part of many people in our culture that would be a kind of leavening effect of Christianity on American culture. And this is so important because as the culture goes, so goes the Christian influence. Our culture will shape people's receptivity to the gospel. Jan and I lived for 13 years in Europe, in 4 different countries, and we saw there the effect of a culture of overwhelming secularism upon people's openness to the gospel. For many of these secularists, you might as well tell them to believe in fairies or leprechauns as in Jesus Christ. That's how absurd it appears to them. Now, in the United States, we have not drifted that far yet, but there is advancing secularism as a result of the collapse of the mainline denominations. And if we want the gospel to continue to be heard as a reasonable option for thinking men and women, I think it's vitally important that we reclaim this lost ground. And so I would urge every listener to this interview to be engaged culturally, whether on the internet or in grade school or high school, at the university, on the job, in letters to the editor, the newspaper, call-in, radio programs, whatever way you can, to be culturally engaged, to be salt and light for the gospel in a decaying culture.